big homie, the Vegas reputable. Anything else, it's not acceptable.
You know what it is, man. That's Mount Rushmore right there.
Yeah. Anyway, we back with it, man. I believe when I left off, I said that I was gonna come back and I was gonna talk about the beginning of the end. Um, See, it's a lot of things I didn't cover, and it's a lot of people I didn't mention, and I'm gonna go back over that. I didn't. I know it's a bunch of people I didn't mention, like Ern P, and I ain't mentioned, the situation with Bad Loke and the Burgundy Square Pirus, Paul Synagogue. Like I say, tragedy was striking everywhere. Tragedy struck Burgundy Square Piru, and Paul Synagogue got murdered. You know what I mean? And boy, that right there was a coincidence because man, them Bloods grouped up and they was on their way to walk through the G's, and I think the police cut them off right there by Doolittle. It was 1,000 Bloods. I mean, from every hood. That boy Paul Synagogue was really loved, and they was finna come through to the G's, man, and God damn, it was finna it'd have been ugly, you know what I'm saying? But when Paul Synagogue died, that sparked things up, and people just was dying, we lost Richie Rich, Tricky T, he got killed, you know what I mean? Cootie Rome caught a case, he ended up killing a bounty hunter. Now see, I can go on and on. Hacksaw moved into Del Monte, and we had to go over there, so things between the BTDs and the Gersh just kind of calmed down, with Stevie James and Maurice Swanson, and even with Maurice Swanson. See, it's a bunch of stuff I didn't mention with him, with me, like him and Trip Mack got into it over a female and a pistol, and one day, me, Trip Mack, and Bip was on the side of Carry Arm just when Trip Mack had that gold MC and he cut the top and it was on gold Dayton's. And we was on the side of the building just chopping it up. And all of a sudden, I think Maurice had a brown two-door Cadillac. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, I think he parked right there over there by Ray Lou them house on the Del Monaco side. And he got out his car and he was running up the street blowing on us, man. And knocked a patch of, he caught Trip Mack in the trap area, knocked a patch of meat up out of him, you know what I'm saying, and was trying to knock him down over, a pistol, and that's just what incidents that, I didn't talk about because I felt, I can always come back over that because that can be like Vegas history. I don't have to talk about everything, But anyway, to the breaking of the truce. Uh, like I said, I wasn't feeling it. And when I went back to jail, to anybody, actually anybody that would listen, Tony Polk and Trip Mack and all them was in jail at this time when this happened, and even told them I'm gonna break that, fuck that. I was like, F that truce, I ain't with it. And I was over there really on that PCP, gone. I was gone. I ain't even smoke weed. I was pure Sherm. I was on that water, bad man. I was on that water. I was gone. My reality and my perception of it was so warped, man. I wasn't here. I was drinking Crazy Horse. When Crazy Horse was out there, drink Crazy Horse, I was drinking Crazy Horse, Mad Dog, and I was smoking water on a daily basis in the brownies. And they was really trucing because the Bonanza Village boys was in the brownies, and I wasn't used to seeing that. Like Big Mark, Rollo, Speck, and a few more dudes was up over there in the brownies over Georgetta house. And Georgetta stayed right upstairs from Donald Ray Page. May he rest in peace. And Lil Fade from Donna, I bought a Winchester 2020 from a pump. And on New Year's Eve, on New Year's Eve, I was sitting on the stairs and I put too many bullets in it. And when I cocked it, it got stuck. So I went over there and got a little cooler car from the brownies, and we went and got a spoon and went up under it and dug the shell out, and I didn't know if it'd work. So when I seen it in the car, I squeezed the trigger and it went off, boom! And I didn't know that one of the neighbors, when they heard that gunshot, had called the police. So I'm going on as business as usual. I'm walking around with a long ass shotgun, and it's on New Year's, So when I leave, I go through the desert part, and everybody know we used to take that shortcut from the Brownies to the Gerson. And I'm leaving, and I'm going through that desert. And as I'm going through the desert, I don't know how they got my description and anything, but when I was going through that desert, the Yellow Jackets rolled right there by that telephone company. They cut me off right there. And one of them, David Reed, he said my name. He said, "Sheepdog, don't move. Don't fucking move." And they had this bright ass light on me. I got a fucking 20 gauge poking out my trench, man. They can see the barrel, the handle of it. But he telling me not to move. I'm semi-shirmed out, like, damn. I throw my hands up. This dude could knock me down right now. And that's what I be saying. This is the reality of the situation. I could have got killed on 3 occasions by the police. This dude got a justifiable kill, right? They could see that big ass gauge poking out my coat. But he knew me from putting me in juvenile and all this my whole life. He knew me, David Reed from the Yellow Jackets. And he screamed my name, and he walked slowly toward me, and I kept my hands up. He said, "Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Everything's going to be okay. Don't move." And he got up on me, and he snatched that motherfucker and told me to get on my knees, put my hand behind my... You know, he could have knocked me down, but he didn't. That could have been the day I was going. And then this the cold part. I didn't know Gangsta Boaz was passing by and slowed down and watched the whole thing. Watch me go to jail. Because his ass ended up coming in there a few weeks later and told me everything that happened in the desert. I'm like, damn. But he was right there watching them arrested. So I go back to jail. I'm like, God damn, man. Another gun charge. As an adult now, ain't no more juvie. So they give me a OR. Let me out on my own recognizance. Get out. I gotta go to court though. I'm like, damn, I just had a pistol charge. I got certified for that. And I started counting how many times I got caught with guns. I was like, man, I'm probably going to the penitentiary. So I get out. I'm back on that Sharon. I'm back on that liquor. Junebug tripping with Lamont now in the Brownies. I'm not gonna get into that right now. But I started drinking white port and stuff like that, man, and really got in that water. And Junebug tried to, you know, being a childhood friend, he tried to save me. He tried to talk to me, man. He came up to me shaking his head like, "You burnt out." And I'm thinking he trying to be funny. So me and him get into it. But I wasn't understanding. He was telling me, "Nigga, this ain't you. Look at you, man. You around here tripping. You smoking water every day, nigga. You don't look at you, man. That ain't you. Bread locked up. If Bread was out here, you wouldn't be acting like this, nigga. Look at you, man." And he was right. I just didn't want to hear it. I wanted to feed my habit. I didn't care about nothing. I was an addict, man, and I had evil intentions, you know. And it all came to a head one night. I was playing cards over Georgetta's house, and she had this friend, man, named Shannon. I couldn't stand her ass, and she was getting on my nerves. We was playing cards, and she called herself being from Donna. So I'm sitting there, I'm drinking my little white port, and every time she slammed the card down, she always got to say trade 4-7 on the motherfucker ass. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit all the time. So she kept doing it, and I finally say, "Shut the fuck up," you know what I'm saying? And me and her get into it. So I throw a drink in her face. They put me out. Now I'm agitated. I wanted to just, you know, but I leave, right? So I ended up mobbing through the dead desert, go through carry arms, go to the G's. Now, I'm gonna come back to something, and it's gonna make sense, all right? But just stay with me. I ended up catching up with my OG homie Arthur Brown, right? It's me and Arthur Brown. We ended up in a big carry arms over Frog Sister Jamie house. Mike Bynum in there frying some pork chops. I'm wet. I go in the house. I tell him, turn the grease down on the pork chops, but I'm wet. I'm shirked out. I'm trying to tell him how to cook the pork chops, and I'm shirked out. And he ain't listening to me. Mike Bynum, remember you was cooking them pork chops and you wouldn't listen to me when I kept telling you to turn that grease down, and I grabbed the fire extinguisher and I sprayed the whole motherfucking house up. I had everybody up in there white and coughing like a motherfucker. Remember that? And y'all put me out and shit. And somehow, we end up at the Cotton Club. When you on that water one thing about it, you can black out and end up in a whole situation. You can be at Tallulah Tools and 1 minute you in Larry Vilas. That's how that water had you. So we end up at the Connie Club, right? And it's a bunch of Donnas in there. But to be realistic to you, we went to uh, McNair's Quick Check, and we seen some more homies at McNair's Quick Check. And what happened was, when we came out, it was a female outside, and we were just being, just dudes. We threw up the neighborhood. She threw up something like, what the fuck was? So we just went across the street. We was gonna go over there anyway. But when we went in there, we didn't know that the Donnas was up in there kicking it that night. So we fall up in there. I'm talking about they was, what up, Correct? I'm like, they the homies, but I'm not used to seeing Donnas in the Cottony Club. I'm not. Even when we was cool, I wasn't used to seeing Donna Streets in the Cottony Club. Actually, anybody, you didn't see Donna Streets in the Cottony Club. But they whole hood is like a bunch of them dudes up in there, right? So we fall up in there. C-Wack, the female, looked like a straight dude. C-Wack looked like, for real, C-Wack looked like Dub C. And Crip walk harder than Dub C. C-Wack looked like a straight dude. Used to have a long ass curl, dark skin, and Carrie. Y'all know Carrie, Lil Lisa. You know what I'm saying, from Donna. Can Crip walk harder than Dub C? I swear to God. But anyway, we go up in there, and off the top, she come up, what up, Crip? I'm like, what that Gerson like? She was like, try to give me a C shake. I gave her a K. She threw her hand back. She said, oh, double C's, no K's. Now, I ain't know that this was something that they, like they used to call us Kmart. We call them Dukes, Dookie Street or whatever. I didn't know that this was, I guess, something that they didn't came up with when I was locked up. I didn't play like that. What you mean, double C's, no K's, fool? So when she said that, I took that as disrespect. So immediately I trip out on her ass. And so she started hollering, we got love for the Gerson? We got love for the... I wasn't trying to hear that shit, but Cassio was up there. So Blanca grabbed me like, man, this my homeboy right here. Man, y'all start that shit out. And we did. So, man, Blanca started kicking it. I go to the bar. I give me a drink. I'm drinking. But I ain't feeling this. I'm irritated. You know what I mean? It's the second female from Donna I done got into it with. You know what I'm saying? I'm irritated, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm drinking, and they ain't making it no better. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what me and this girl... Now, this girl used to hang with me, Cornbread, and Lil Bread. Then her name was Sheila. And Sheila used to be with Dorothy Ann and Night Train daughter Bug. She looked like a straight monkey. Listen, she so ugly. She look like she hang upside down from trees by her feet. She ugly as a motherfucker. For real. She ugly as a mother. But anyway, I end up arguing with her. Look like she sniffed luggage at the airport or some motherfucker. But I get into it with her. And me and Deuces, who is Night Train's, I think, nephew, which is, I think, Big Mark from Bonanza Village, brother, get into it. But he claimed Donna. I don't know him like that. But this dude was big as a motherfucker. He about 240. Look, I'm a little kid. I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm about $125 soaking wet with a boat anchor. For real. I'm a little kid. So me and this dude get into it. And it spill outside. So we argued, and there's people up there that was G's. But it was more Donnas. So they was real aggressive. So we spill outside, and they were talking about, it's gonna be head up. And I'm like, how dare you say something like that when this dude is twice my goddamn size? And I'm not healthy. I'm a little kid. And what you mean head up? This dude look like he just got out of Folsom some motherfucking way. The fuck you mean head up? But they screaming head up. So you know me, I can't show no fear. I take off my shirt, man. If you seen how little my chest was when I took my shirt off, female pigeons probably was doing sex dances because my chest was little as a motherfucker. But anyway, me and this cat here, we squared up. And let me just say this here. Yeah, just like you expected. I got slammed on every car in the parking lot. He literally picked me up off one car and slammed me on another one and was just going down the line. Boom! Did my homies try to break it up? Of course not. Did the Donna Streets try to break it up? Absolutely not. So he slammed me on that boom, boom. About after that fourth slam, see it went from boom, oh you a bitch ass nigga, to boom, oh I'ma kill this nigga, to boom, to boom, I'm killing everybody up here. He slammed spirituality out my motherfucking ass that night. So when he got through ragdolling me and doing uncivilized ass things to me in front of all their ass, they decided to break it up. By this time, I was at the point of no return. Nah, that don't happen to me. Not me. I don't care what I was smoking. That don't happen to me. The way he just did me, no. And Cassio tried to come over there and say, nigga, we homies. We still homies, man. What? Dude, do you know who you talking to right now? You're not talking to that dude you grew up with. You're not talking to that dude that you put in work with. No, you're not talking to him. You know who you talking to? Do you really know who you talking to? You talking to a dude who intend on going to look. My homeboy Jody Mack pulled up because Peter Mack pulled up first with your scary ass. You remember you pulled up, nigga, and I tried to get in the car with you, and you told me right, you looked me right in my face and said you don't gangbang. You looked me right in my face, and I got at your ass in the joint about that too. But that's another story. But Peter Mack, you know what you did, homie, and it's not to put you on blast. That happened, nigga. I tried to get in the car with you. You told me you didn't bang, nigga, and pulled off on my motherfucking ass. Jody came up there. I got in the car with Jody Mack. He see me look all discombobulated, shooken up, beat the fuck up. So I get in the car with him. I tell him to take me to the spot. He take me to home. He asks me what's happening. I don't want to talk. Nigga, my elbows bleeding, my knees hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm hurting. My feelings is hurting. I don't want to talk. Punch it. You know what I'm saying? Get me to where I got to get to where I got to go. Get me to the spot. That's all you need to do. So he's studying the nigga in the car. I don't want to talk. But when he get me, I tell him to take me to my auntie house. We get to my auntie house. When I jump on the car, I run to go get my thing. This nigga here pulls off and leave me at my auntie house. Now I'm stuck over my auntie house. And now I'm really mad. So it didn't matter. I did what I had to do. I'm gonna cut it out right there. I did what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up getting with one of my peoples, and we went down there. We shot up Donna, but it was nobody down there. It was nobody down there. We shot up Donna that same night, and I went to Shaves, Out of Bounds, the Heritage, back to the Cotton Club. I went to all them clubs looking for them dudes, that pack of Donnas. I couldn't find them. But I wasn't going home until I changed the narrative. Dude, this dude just slammed me on every kind of fucking parking lot, man. And I truly believe if I would have seen some of my homeboys, not Arthur Brown, because he was riding with me, but y'all know who y'all is. If I would have seen some of y'all, I don't know how that would have went, man. I'm just telling the truth. But after we, lit Donna up, we come back over the freeway, and I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. People can say, man, that was that Sharon, maybe it was, but I swear to God, I vaguely remember where this individual stayed. I want to open up old wounds, but what happened is I ended up. He didn't have nothing to do with it. He wasn't even there. That's how cold this game is, and that's how evil a person can get when you get yourself in situations when you can't take an ass whooping. You see, that night was a perfect example of a person that can't take an ass whooping. You know, and I went over to this man's spot, man, and I ain't got to get into the graphics because I don't feel good about that shit, man. Ain't nothing gangster about that. I went over there and I murdered somebody, man. From Donna. And yeah, the truce was broke. The alliance was broke. And after I did that, and I swear to God, I vaguely remember where he stayed, but it was a voice in my head, man. I swear to God, a voice that was telling me, it was guiding me. It was like telling me everything I needed to hear. It was this voice, man. And people say that was that Sharon. Oh, maybe it was. I think it was the devil. But it was the voice that was telling me everything I needed to hear. But after the deed was done, that voice was gone. And I ended up running down the stairs with a limp because my leg was messed up from that fight. And the dude I was with was halfway up the street like he was leaving me. And I had to catch up with him and get in the car. And when we pulled off, that's when everything in Vegas changed for the worst. And when I come back, I'm on the run for murder. The Donnas is caught in the dilemma. The next day, after I did that, because, I mean, no need to, like I say, relive that. I'm not proud of that, man, and I'm not talking about that to brag about that, man. I gotta live with that. Nobody know what goes on in my head and what's in my heart, man. I've done a lot of bad things, just like a lot of gangbangers did. And I'm telling you this so your son won't have to do that and end up damaged, trying to tell his story and save other people like I am. I had to learn the hard way. I don't want your child, or nobody's child, to have to learn the way I did. And I could never, bring back, what from what I took from. And the best way I can, show my, deepest, empathize with the Donnas and say, hey, I was wrong for what I did is by opening up and telling my story so other kids don't make them type of mistakes. So the next day after that happened, because ain't no need to talk about, like I say, graphics. The deed was done. I did something stupid, because I couldn't take an ass whooping, and I turned friends to foes. The next day, the Donnas, when they heard, because they came over there like 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when it happened. They came over there, and they didn't know who did that at first. That girl, the girl in the house didn't know who I was. And she could only describe me. It's in my report. She can only describe me. But the way they found out it was me is when she described me, everybody know me for a trench coat. I told you I was known for a trench coat and a 12 gauge. And when she said trench coat, they said my name. And I'm going to come back to that. But like I said, no need to go into that. The next day, the Donnas was in that school field across the street from Jim Bridget, the year-round school. It was about 40, 50 Donnas sitting in that field. And I guess they was deciding what to do. And my stupid ass, realizing what I'd done and woke up the next day sober, I'm going to get into that when I come back. I went over there and when I was finna shoot, the Donnas that was in the field, when we rolled by, ain't no need to, when we rolled by, we was finna give it to them, and they know that they was in the field, but it was unmarked cars out there. Like Northtown has these unmarked cars, and I laid down in the seat because they had me right there. But I guess they was watching. They was more keened in on what they was doing than when us weren't rolling by. But little did they know, I was finna shoot that whole field up. I wasn't through with it. My mind was whacked out. Everybody that I went around was telling me what I've done that I thought was just a dream. So what I did is I had to go back into that world while I was looking for that voice that told me everything that was so right that night, because it was like it left me and I felt alone because my homies wasn't feeling what I did. The only one that stood strong with me when it initially happened was my cousin Freak Dog. And when I come back, I'm gonna talk about when Adonis declared war on the Gershon. Until then, from the ground up, 30 is on his way.